discussion. Tonight, we're going to be talking about telling the vision. Our first night, we had a powerful group of panelists that really shared the importance of having financial vision personally, within our families, and even in our communities. And now we want to talk about telling that vision, communicating that vision in order to partner. You know, when it comes to businesses, businesses need that access to capital. They need to be able to build their capacity in order to thrive. And most times that can't be done without solid, firm partnerships and knowing where to go to get resources and support. And so we're excited to talk about the many opportunities there are to partner with the city of Philadelphia, and even overall just partnering, period, the purpose of it and why it's so important. You know, a statistic went out today in the Philadelphia Inquirer that talked a little bit about something that's impacting our community. Philly is 44% Black, and yet our businesses get only 12% of the contracts, of city contracts. Well, we want to stop that. We want to increase that number, and we want to see more folks from our community getting opportunities and being at that table. But, you know, it's going to take folks knowing who we are, who those businesses are. And so tonight should be a great discussion on how we can build a solid bridge to get our community at the table for the opportunities to build with the city of Philadelphia. So you're in for another treat. Thank you all for being here. We're going to start shortly. We just want to give folks time to get in, get yourself comfortable, grab yourself something to eat, grab a pen, a pad, because you're going to want to take notes. We have some amazing speakers tonight that are very knowledgeable, both in expertise, but also in experience. And you're going to want to get this information. So again, thank you all for being here for the Black Generational Wealth Series 2022, night 2. So thanks again. Oh, I'm seeing the chat. Welcome, welcome. Hey there. Yes, we're glad to have you here. So I'm going to play some music to set the mood, and we'll get started in a couple minutes. All right, thank you so much. Thank you all for being here. We are ready to go. I want to thank everyone for being here, welcoming us into your home, wherever you are. We are grateful that you're spending your Thursday evening here with us with the Black Generational Wealth Series. My name is Eric Westbrook. I am the director for the Mayor's Office of Black Male Engagement, and I am your host during this series. I am grateful to be joined by an amazing moderator and powerful panelists, and I'm thankful to everyone that has really helped this series take off. This is our third annual series. I want to personally thank the Mayor's Commission on African American Males, who has been instrumental in helping us put this together and pointing us in the direction of the needs and concerns of Black men and boys in Philadelphia. Thank you all so much. And with that said, you can follow us on OBMEPHL on Instagram at OBMEPHL or on Facebook, Black Male Engagement PHL, to find out what the Mayor's Office on Black Male Engagement or the Mayor's Commission on African American Males is doing and what our plans are for 2022. So without further ado, I'm excited to introduce our moderator for the evening, who is an esteemed member of the Mayor's Commission on African American Males and a part of the illustrious Economic Development Committee, none other than my brother, Mr. Ray Parker. Ray, thank you for being here tonight, brother. Take it away.
Thanks, Eric, and good evening, Eric, and everybody that joined us tonight. Today, I'm very, very excited for this opportunity. This is going to be a great event, and as Eric said, my name is Ray Parker, and I'm a member of the Mayor's Commission for African American Males. And within the commission, I work with the Economic Development Committee, where we investigate issues that negatively affect Black males economically and make policy recommendations based on our findings. But enough about me, because tonight we are really in for a treat, as Eric said. With this being the Black Generational Wealth Series, we are addressing one of the pillars to building wealth in our community, and that's entrepreneurship and job creation. Our panelists are going to teach us how Black businesses can grow and prosper in the local economy by partnering with the city of Philadelphia. And we have two amazing panelists who are going to tell and explain to us all how we can partner with the city. First up, we have Mrs. Iola Harper. She is the former Deputy Commerce Director for the city of Philadelphia and currently serves as the Senior Executive President of the Enterprise Center. Next, we also have Ms. Sophie Hank. She is the Senior Business Development Manager for the Creative Economy within the Department of Commerce. Before we proceed, I just want to give both you ladies a warm welcome and also give you both the opportunity to take a minute or two to to introduce yourselves to the audience and tell them a little more about what you do within the city of Philadelphia. So I'll just start off with Iola, because I see you first. If you want to take it from here.
Sure. Good evening, everyone. My name is Iola Harper, and I am, as Ray said, I was the former Deputy Commerce Director for the city of Philadelphia. And in that role, I worked with minority-owned businesses to help them get connected to city-owned contracts. I recently left, and I became the Senior Executive Vice President of the Enterprise Center. And for those of you who aren't aware, the Enterprise Center is located at 46 and Market, and it is a center for you. It's a center where minority businesses come to get loans, to learn, to get connected, and to thrive. So I am here to help and answer any questions and provide information today.
Thank you, Iola. Next up, Ms. Sophie.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Happy to be here, and thank you for having me on this panel. Again, my name is Sophie Hank. I am the Senior Business Manager of, sorry, I'm mixing it up. Senior Business Development Manager for the Business Development Unit for the Department of Commerce. I also oversee the Philadelphia Keystone Opportunity Zone in Philadelphia. We are a attraction and retention unit for the Commerce Department. We tell the Philadelphia story, and we're here to support all businesses in Philadelphia. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sophie. And I'm very excited for the discussion. I really hope everybody that attends tonight is very excited, because I plan and intend to walk away with a wealth of knowledge and things that in the system that I don't fully understand. And I'm sure we should all gain some clarity from these two ladies. And I won't waste anybody's time, because I just want to jump into it. I'm really eager and I like to get to it. So first question that I have for both of you this evening is, what opportunities are there for businesses to build with the city of Philadelphia?
There are many, many opportunities to build with the city of Philadelphia. So the city of Philadelphia is a customer themselves, but there are many other customers in the city. So the city is a customer, corporations can be customers, companies can be customers, and regular citizens can be customers. So you've got ample opportunity in the city of Philadelphia to sell your products or services.
Thank you. Thank you. Sophie?
Yes, within the Commerce Department, we have several units to get you started. We have the Office of Business Services that helps small businesses within the community. Of course, we have our Office of Business Development, which markets and tells the Philadelphia story for attraction and retention efforts, right? So we have an industry focus on manufacturing, life science, tech startup, the creative economy. We're also launching the nightlife economy to support the creatives that are have been impacted by COVID-19. There's also the workforce development unit. If your company is looking for growth within the city and need apprenticeship dollars or workforce training dollars, they are the folks that you can connect with.
Thank you.
I want to say, I saw it pop up in the tracks. What about NPOs? Nonprofit organizations are customers as well. Anybody can buy anything. So we've got plenty of customers in the city of Philadelphia.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And that was actually a great question. I want to encourage all of our attendees to please use the chat and ask questions in the chat. We will try to get to them at some point, if not right away. But without moving forward, I just want to stick to the theme. We're talking about Black generational wealth in today's conversation. So I just want to ask or state that entrepreneurship plays a pivotal role in wealth building for any community, right? In what ways can we encourage, support, and strengthen Black-owned enterprises in Philadelphia?
You want to go, Sophie?
Sure. Commerce have been focused on the equity lens. And for example, this year, well, the past year, it's 2021, we've been involved with Parks and Rec to create a space in the Christmas Village where BIPOC businesses can access, a booth, right, which was usually overpriced and out of price range for most small businesses. Commerce has sponsored that. We had this talk in our equity meetings about, government telling small businesses what to do or assume that we know a lot more than, those who are in the trenches doing the work daily and are experiencing what they're experiencing. So, I would flip it back to you. What do you expect city government to do for you? And I welcome those opportunities to speak to anybody. And I've had those conversations with a lot of small businesses and hold people accountable. A lot of the dollars that are given out to, the community organizations and stuff like that. And if you're feeling that it's not reaching you, bring that up, build that relationship with the Commerce Department, bring it up to our attention. If they always say the squeakiest wheels, well, the squeaky wheel gets the oil, however that saying goes, right? So bring it to our attention. Again, we have a staff of commerce folks who are, committed to that equity lens, and we love hearing the Philadelphia story, what's made in Philadelphia, who are our entrepreneurs, and we love selling those stories. And work with your local CDCs, if reaching out to the Commerce Department isn't, your first step, the CDCs are there to also support your business.
And just to add to what Sophie says, we're in an environment now where people want to do business with us, and it has not always been that way. So it is time for us to stand up and take advantage of guilt, of reality, of the fact that we deserve to be considered like every other business, that our ice is just as cold as everyone else's ice. And so in terms of encouraging entrepreneurship, now is the time, because everyone has a supplier development program. Everyone has a disadvantaged business program, and we'll talk about that later. But if you're going to do business, now's the time.
I think we broke up. Thank you, Iola. And to your point, Sophie, yes, very much. The squeaky wheel gets the oil, right? So speak up, speak out, be heard, and reach out to the city, and you shall get the help that you seek. So with that being said, I just want to lift the veil off of the city operations a little bit and go into my next question. So what is the Office of Economic Opportunity, and what exactly do they do for those that don't know?
Okay, so I used to lead the Office of Economic Opportunity, and that is the office that works with certified businesses, certified minority businesses, to help them get connected to contracts in the city and in the private sector. So if you are a minority-owned business, and my minority is not just African Americans, we're here to talk about African Americans tonight, but we've got Hispanic, we've got Asian, we've got a number of other minorities that are considered under the minority umbrella. So it's minority-owned businesses, women-owned businesses, and businesses owned by people with disabilities, to make sure that they are fairly considered in city contracting. And the Office of Economic Opportunity is in place to work with the departments in the city, to work with universities, to work with corporations, to say, listen, we've got minority-owned businesses, we've got women-owned businesses, do business with them. There is a goal in the city of 35%, which means at the end of the year, we want 35 cents of every for-profit dollar to be spent with a minority woman-owned or disabled-owned business. So that's what OEO is, and that's what they do.
Thank you. Sophie, you have anything to add to that, or?
No, Iola was the expert.
I think, yeah, that was great.
Yes.
And I think I want to piggyback off of that a little bit and say, how do you go about certifying your business, right? Because you mentioned that. How do you go about certifying your business with the city as a minority-owned business or a woman-owned enterprise?
So there are agencies that vet businesses, and to be certified, your business has to be 51% owned and controlled by a minority, a woman, or a person with disabilities. So there are businesses, for example, that may be owned 51% by a woman, but when the certification agencies reach out, they ask questions, they realize that the woman does not control the business. Mm-hmm. So that in turn, that business is not certified. The same with minority. So your business has to be owned and controlled by a minority, by either a minority, a woman, or a person with disabilities. There are agencies, and Sophie put a link in the chat. There are agencies that you can go to be certified. One of them I work for right now, the Enterprise Center. So you can come to the Enterprise Center and be certified, but you can also go to the National Minority Supplier Development Council. You can go to the Women's Business Enterprise Council. You can go to SEPTA. You can go to the airport. SEPTA and the airport do what's called DBE certification, Disadvantaged Business Entity certification. Mm-hmm. So there are many places that you can go to get certified. And the Enterprise Center is one place that you can go to get certified.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you. So how important is it for entrepreneurs to file their business paperwork with the city of Philadelphia? We have a lot of people operating off the grid.
I'll give you a perspective, right? I am a person that says, do your business as a hobby until you know you want to do it as a business, because the moment that you file paperwork, you have to follow through on that paperwork. You have to file taxes. You have to fill out all kinds of forms, right? So there are many businesses that operated as, I call it, off the grid, meaning they're not certified, they're not legit. But you know what happened to those type of businesses? When the COVID hit and they wanted to get PPP funds, they could not because they were off the grid. So what I'm going to suggest to the people that are in this session tonight is that you really begin to think about, do you want to be a real business or do you want to be a hobby business? And make your determinations based on that.
Thank you.
I also want to add, once when I took over as the business development manager for the creative economy, and looking for data to support this, industry, the issue was that there were a lot of 1099s, a lot of folks that, you know, um, does side hustles and don't have the correct paperwork. So getting data to support it, which is a big factor in advocating for funds for the industry, it's become a challenge, right? And I know that some of these jobs that we do as a creative myself, it's not enough to say I'm going to go full time and file myself as a legal business, right? But if you want to scale, you have to do that. And it also, again, is like the census. If you don't count yourself as a business in that sector or in that industry, there's no way that we can count it or use it as an advocacy tool to get more money for that industry and sector.
Yes. Thank you for that. And I love that you use scale. Like if you plan to grow your business, you must file your business paperwork with the city and be recognized as that. And I think that's crucial into growing your business. So thank you very much. And switching it from a hobby, right, into a real business entity, it's very important that you separate the two, right? So thank you both for your answer. That was great. So where can a potential business owner find help to kind of navigate through that system and knowing all the rules and requirements into doing business with the city? For example, like through L&I and the Eclipse system, or would we all love the municipal building when it was open? Like, how do you navigate through that process?
So the first step is to contact the Office of Business Service. If you are a small business in Philadelphia, there are several business service managers that can assist you from start to finish. I'll drop the information that you could there's an email form that you can reach directly out to them and somebody will respond, or you could call the direct number. But again, the first step is to create that connection and get to know your business service manager. We're here as city government officials to help support all businesses, right? And this is all your tax dollars are paying our salary to help you take advantage of opportunities and networking and any grant or incentives that are available through the city. So that would be the first place to navigate. I've seen on the chat that there's issues with tax clearances and the revenue department. Your business service manager or anybody who works in commerce have internal relationships that if you're getting frustrated and you can't navigate it on your own, reaching out to one of us will possibly speed up the process and get you some resolution. I working as the Keystone Opportunity Zone manager, I deal with a lot of tax clearance issues, and I can definitely, move the issue, to closer to resolution than it would be if you're waiting for a response, through the general mailbox.
I will also say that if you are in business, if you're an existing business and you want to begin to look at contracting with the government, with the city of Philadelphia, you should go to contractshub.com. And there will be listed all of the city's contracts from $50 on up.
Thank you for that, because it leads right into my next question, right? So first of all, I think everybody has seen like the word, the term, or the acronym RFP thrown around, right? So the first question is, what is an RFP? But next is, how does a business gain access, what you just mentioned, to city contracts, grants, and RFPs? What is that system? Where is that website at?
Yes, so RFP,
thank you, Sophie.
RFP is a request for a proposal. And when a department or a company is requesting services, oftentimes they will release an RFP. And an RFP requires that you put together a response that has a written response and a budget. And for projects that are more construction oriented, there are things called bids. And I can't remember what bid stands for. But a bid is an RFP except for a project that you're going to build. And so you can get information on bids and RFPs for the city of Philadelphia at contractshub.com.
Thank you very much. And I hope everybody got that Contracts Hub. And also, Sophie just put some links in the chat if you want to go and check out that website in the meantime. But we'll move along because I want to get back to what the center of this conversation is about, is how do we level the playing field, right? So how do we level the playing field so that a small business owner can get the same access to the city leadership and resources that's granted to mid and larger companies? Any thoughts?
Go ahead, Sophie. I'll go after you. I'll go after you this time, Sophie.
Okay, sounds good. My question is, who do you want to connect with, right? Is meeting the mayor gonna, take you a step forward to being successful as a business owner, right? So our office can provide connections, right? But think about what those connections can be, right? Is it to a financial institution, through a supplier who, can give you, just the different connections that you're able to meet, and our office can connect those dots for you. That depends on what your story is and what you need our help with, right? I would, like I said, it's, the creative economy is made up of so many small businesses. I've seen, big, like we rolled out the red carpet for Amazon when we were doing the Amazon, bid, and that, those are the stories that we love, and gets most of the, sorry, that didn't sound right. So let me rephrase. Okay. So like the job creation is what we need for our citizens in Philadelphia. So those are the big stories that, captures the news media and stuff like that. But I also love to tell the Philadelphia story. I want to know who the creators are, who's the up and coming, who are, creating these products and tech services that are Philadelphia made, right? And how can I roll the red carpet out for you? Who can I introduce you to help scale that, your invention or your ideas, and, create it into, a successful business venture or in, product, right? So it's about who you know, and building that relationship with, who knows you, I'm sorry, switching that around, who knows you. So build that network, that communication, that relationship with our department, and we definitely have years of experience within our colleagues to introduce you to the right players in Philadelphia.
And I just want to add to that, and I may be creeping into the next question, Ray, and I'm sorry if I am, but as a small business, you have to know what your capacity is. What can you do? So, I personally don't want to get on an elevator that was fixed by somebody that fixed an elevator for the first time. Like, I just don't want to do it, and neither do you. So we've got to look at the capacity of the firm. You've got to look at your experience. We've got to look at the number of employees you have and your ability to pay them. You've got to look at all of that stuff and then say, okay, based on where I am right now, what types of contracts or what types of customers can I have now? And how do I work towards becoming a larger contractor or a larger business? The city of Philadelphia has a lot of minority contractors and a lot of minority businesses. However, with the city, most of them do not work as what are called prime contractors. That means that they work as subcontractors. That means that there's another firm that contracts with the city, and that firm then contracts with the minority business. And one of the things that I wanted to do, and they're still working on today, is to build the number of prime contractors that are minority-owned businesses. And that takes time. It takes experience. It takes getting job after job after job of doing the same thing, so that when you become a prime contractor, you've got experience, you've got employees, you've got knowledge to actually do the job. So, in terms of leveling the playing field, you've got to look at yourself first and say, what can I do now? And where do I want to do? What do I want to be able to do? And how do I move from where I am now to where I'd like to be?
Mhm. I love that. So basically, you got to be qualified, right? And you got to be able to handle whatever the city needs you to do with your current workload or work with staff or anything. Am I getting it right?
Yeah, and it's not just the city. It's not just the city. There are companies and corporations. Shoot, if I hire an electrician for my house, right?
Mhm.
He better know how to do the electricity, because I don't want to plug something in and get electrocuted.
Right.
Right. So you have to have the skills to do the level of job that you're going for. And it's not that you can't ever do a big business or you can't ever meet the big players. It's just that if you're a small business, you have to work your way up. And like
Mhm.
Sophie said, who knows you? And people get to know you by you doing jobs and by you continuing to do a good job.
Mhm. So we're not just supporting a Black business, we're supporting a good Black business, and we're supporting good businesses, period. I love that. So for my next question is just about the percent of city contracts that we have out there that has gone to Black businesses. So we just mentioned earlier that 12% of city contracts have gone to Black-owned businesses. And I just want to start to think or ask a question about how can we increase that number?
Well, you know what, the goal for the city is 35% minority-owned businesses, right? But that's all minority-owned businesses. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the goal for African-American owned businesses was around 18%. And that goal was arrived at based on what's called an availability study.
Okay.
And that's a study that looks at who is available and has the capacity to do business with the city. I'm talking just about city contracts. So the fact that the city did, what would you said it was 12%?
Yes.
They fell short of the goal, right? And so in order to get more African-American owned businesses, I'm going to say this. I don't work for the city anymore. I can say it, that the departments have to stop doing business with the firms that they always do business with. They have to. They have to spread the opportunity around. And so, even though we have businesses in a lot of different categories, oftentimes they don't get a chance. And it's because of the firms that are doing it, they continue to do it. And so we've got to figure out a way to get new firms in the mix.
Thank you. Sophie, you got anything to add to that point? I think you hit it right on the nail. I think we got to definitely diversify, right? And add more to the mix. That was perfect. So I just want to know, so what types of contracts are available through the city, for one? And then two, what are the industry where Black businesses are not bidding? Like, what industries are we missing the tide
on? Can you say the first part of the question again?
So the first part of the question is, what types of contracts are available through the city? So what industries do the contracts fall under? And then what are the industries where we're not bidding, where Black businesses are not bidding?
I'm going to say that the city buys everything. We buy water. I did a contract for people who do horseshoes, put shoes on horses. I've done a contract for building a building. Like anything that you may buy, trust me, a city buys it as well. So the breadth of products and services that the city buys is really, really broad. In terms of, the sectors or industries where there aren't a lot of companies, I can't really say, because every contract Well, let me take this back. All of the major contracts, we always had minorities that were up and available for the contract. Now, whether they got it or not, that was something else. So I am not aware of a particular industry segment where there's a dearth of minority businesses. I really can't think of any particular area where there are none or where there are very few. So, and what I don't want to do in this is to discourage people from trying, because you should always, if you read the RFP or if you review the bid and you have the skills and you have the relationships and you can get the bonding and you can get everything that you need, I recommend that you go for the opportunity. And if you don't get it, and this is really, really important, if you don't get it, ask for a debrief. Ask the department why you didn't get it, what you could do to make it better next time. And oftentimes, most times, businesses do not do this. And that does two things. One, it lets you know how to submit a better bid or RFP, but it also lets the department know that you are listening and that you're going to come back and that you're going to try again.
Absolutely. I'm sorry, I'm talking. But Sophie, do you want to add anything to that point?
What Iola said is well said, right?
Yep.
Again, when we're looking at the equity lens, it's about reviewing contracts that are out there. If people are underperforming, we need to change it up, right? A lot of these contracts that have been under the same, the same folks have yielded the same results, right? If we want something new, we need to look outside. We have to provide that opportunity for other folks. There's been discussions on how we can, you have discussions with the business community to educate them on how we can look at an RFP and school them on how to apply for it, how they can make themselves marketable in applying for it, right? So that came off of the Christmas Village project, where we see that, that's the tourism spot, right? For BIPOC businesses to gain that, foot traffic and those dollars, they need to be where the tourism, are at. And the Christmas Village was the first, place that we thought we can make some type of impact. And through that, there are plenty more discussions on how we'll break down contracts and hold people accountable. That hasn't been, it hasn't been. So that's the lens that we're looking through at, through racial equity and how to even out the playing field.
Thank you for that. I want to circle back a little bit because we mentioned growth and scale earlier, right? And what it takes to really grow your business and sustain it over the long haul. And sometimes you need a little operating capital in order to grow your business. And we have some institutions called CDFIs that I kind of want to touch on so that people know that, you don't have to just go to, your big big banks out here, right? There are other lending institutions and support that you can get to infuse some cash into your business to help you grow and scale so that you can get to the point where you are qualified for these city contracts. So my first question is, what is a CDFI? And two, how available are they to the business community in Philadelphia?
Sure. So a CDFI stands for Community Development Financial Institution. And they are, for lack of a better word, like banks. However, they're not like banks because their underwriting and the criteria to get a loan is much more relaxed than a bank. The Enterprise Center has a CDFI as an example. There are many CDFIs in the city of Philadelphia, but I can share a little bit about the Enterprise Center CDFI, we loan out anywhere from $50,000 to $500,000. And we have different loan funds for different purposes. We have microloan funds, we have growth loan funds for construction businesses. We even have a West Philly Resilience Fund for businesses that are in West Philadelphia. So, each CDFI will have their own specific products, but it is much easier and the underwriting is a lot more simple. And the criteria is not as tough, and your credit score does not have to be as high in order to get a loan with a CDFI.
Wonderful. Sophie, you wanted to add to that point?
Yeah, I just dropped in the website for the business lending network that that people can use to apply. We have again partnerships and organizations that do small loan funds, right? Kiva being one of them for those who are looking for small dollar loans and have that peer lending network available for them.
Oh, thank you. And
I did see.
Yeah, I was about to say,
I did see a
at
question about interest rates.
Yes.
And I'm going to say that the interest rate will vary with the product, but like with the Enterprise Center, we have interest rates as low as 1%, and it goes all the way up to about 7.75%. So it depends on the fund, it depends on the product. There are even funds that have no interest at all. So you should shop around based on your business and look for good deals and good loan and good opportunities to get funds.
Thank you for that. And that was a great question. Thank you for that. And I'm looking in the chat again. I want to ask, there was another good question. I think you might have mentioned it, but which industries tend to yield the most contract opportunities for minority-owned businesses? I don't know, it might be too many, but is there
I'll tell you when I was with the city, it was service businesses. So the service business category always had, out of the percentage of minority-owned businesses, the service category had about 35 to 40% of all contracts, and those are things like law, accounting. One of a big service contract was for cleaning. So if they had a cleaning company, they had a really big contract. So services are pretty much the largest category. And I will say that in most organizations that help small businesses, especially businesses owned by people of color, service businesses are the largest category that they help too.
Thank you. Thank you for that. So I just want to stick to the contracts, but in another way, because I see supplier diversity being on the agenda for not just the city, but a lot of large businesses, right? And these contracts don't just exist within a city, right? There are other entities within the city that are large employers or large corporations that people could take advantage of contracts for. So I wanted to know, where should entrepreneur look for other contract opportunities, even within the city, but outside of the actual city as well?
I'm going to say that every company or every corporation at this point has a supplier diversity program. So you want to start by going online and going on the company's website and searching for supplier diversity. And you'll find either a page where it tells you what you need to do. You'll find a person that you need to contact. But like I said, we're in an environment, at least now, where everybody wants to say that they're doing business with minority businesses. Now, are they really going to do it? We'll need to see, but we're going to need all of you guys to step up, to try to keep trying, because you will eventually get a contract.
Thank you for that. I saw another question in the chat. I think we might have missed it, but she's asking, are LGBTQ businesses considered minority-owned businesses?
With the city of Philadelphia, they are not considered minority-owned businesses. However, with a lot of corporations, LGBTQ businesses are considered minority-owned businesses. So you want to check with the corporation, and even with the some parts of the federal government will look at LGBTQ businesses as minority-owned businesses. The city of Philadelphia does not.
Okay. Looking for more questions inside the chat. Oh no, this is, I'm sorry, can't read Spanish. And COVID. So I just wanted to touch on how the COVID pandemic kind of affected Black-owned enterprises. Did you guys see the impact that COVID has had on Black businesses in the city of Philadelphia? Did we see an influx of businesses closing or businesses kind of being born during the pandemic?
Well, you know, minority businesses have always had a difficult time, but COVID was very, very difficult for minority-owned businesses. Many businesses closed because they had no revenue, no income. And if you think about the fact that many minority businesses in the Philadelphia area are service businesses, these are businesses that service people, right? And people were unavailable, people were sick, people were dying, people were in their houses, people were not going out eating, they were not getting their houses clean, they were not doing the things that they normally do. If a business was servicing that part of a person's life, their business went down to zero. And so this is why things like the PPP loans, the grants that Commerce gave, these were lifelines for these businesses. And so we were able to help many businesses, but even in spite of grants and technical assistance, there were still many businesses that went out of business. So I'm going to say that minority businesses were devastated by COVID, and the businesses that made it out were able to pivot. They were able to make it off of PPP loans. They were able to get grants, but there were many who were not able to do any of that, and unfortunately had to close up.
Sophie, do you want to add to that point at all?
Yeah, I've seen plenty of that, and and again, with a lot of struggle, or sorry, I can't get the right word, but there adversity comes opportunity, right? So a lot of other businesses have come out through the pandemic, right? And we've been through this, history repeat itself. Before that, we need to do a better job in having that reserve for small businesses when a pandemic, an emergency hit, because again, I'm not a reactive type of person. I like preventative stuff, and I think a lot of the history of what was happening with COVID should warn us that there may be more, and we should be doing more to create preventative fundings and grant opportunities for businesses who will be impacted, because again, a huge part of our creative economy were our nightclubs and our restaurants and in-person music venues. The smaller guys did not sustain well, and they closed, and the bigger ones had more of a federal help in dollar wise, right? So they're able to barely make it, but they still suffered it, suffered regardless.
I just want to add to that and say that a lot of businesses that were owned by African Americans were not technology oriented. So businesses that might have been able to pivot if they were able to sell their products and services online. They may have had an old website, they may have not had a website, they may not have had a social media presence. And so one of the things that I hope that businesses have learned and will learn that you have to have a technology presence and that you have to be able to do business online. And so that's going to be really important going forward, is setting up your business and setting up your products and services so that people can review them online, and so that people can buy them online, and so that people can pay you online. And that's going to be critical going forward.
I just want to point out too, I've also seen a lot of cybersecurity issues. A lot of businesses who have been like on Yelp or, marketing their business through Google and stuff like that, that the hackers have came out and done numbers on people's websites and have, stolen information. So we have to think about that too when we pivot over to the internet and really sell our stuff online. Even with like the grant fundings that were out there, there were a lot of folks reporting back, like, is this a part of the government? And, people charging folks for services that should have been free. So the scamming industry seemed to have, benefit highly from this, from, folks who are vulnerable and are looking for, help from the government. So just be extra careful when we do move on to, the cyber world, that we are taking precautions in protecting our business.
I saw a good thought in the chat, and thank you for that, Sophie. I saw a good thought in the chat. He talked about sometimes, and this was, I think, a point that Iola made earlier about having the capacity, right, to take on these contracts. Sometimes it's city contracts or government contracts, period, aren't going to pay you up front, or most times, right? You have to actually complete the job and then you'll get paid. But sometimes you got to purchase supplies, pay your staff, and other things associated with getting the job done, and people don't have the capital in order to do that until they're actually paid for the contract. How does a business pretty much set themselves up so that they're financially able, right, to take on these contracts?
So what I would recommend is that they get a line of credit. However, in order to get a line of credit, you've got to be able to establish that you can do the job. And so it all goes back to who knows you, who knows how good you do what you do, and who trusts you. And so for people who know you and they know how good you do what you do, you can begin to work on, you have to work on relationships when you don't need them. So you don't need a loan right now. Now's the time to start talking to bankers. Now's the time to start talking to people at the CDFIs. Now's the time to start talking to people who can be helpful to you when you need them. So I'm going to say build relationships when you don't need them, so that when you do need them, it's already a relationship. You're not trying to form a relationship then.
You're muted, Ray.
I'm sorry, I was reading something in the chat. It was saying, hello, everyone. These measures are very good, but if the city can do something to make people feel happier and more comfortable when they need to use the services that it provides, that will help to heal the situation we are experiencing. All right, thank you for that comment. So my next and probably final question was about business size, because I saw a lot of people asking, what's a small business? Like, what constitutes that, right? So please define for our attendees what classifies you as a small company, a small business.
Well, I will tell you that the SBA classifies you as a small business if you have less than 500 employees and you make less than, I forget, I think it's like $50 million or something like that. So it's all relative, because to me, if you have 50 employees, you're a mid-sized business, right? So in terms of what the city looks at as a small business, I don't even know if we have a definition of a small business in terms of revenue and in terms of the number of employees that makes a small business. What we're looking at is, again, capacity. Can you do a small job? Can you do a medium-sized job? or can you do a big job? And that all has to do with your revenue as a business, the number of employees that you have, the number of jobs that you've done already that are similar. And so I don't know if that's helpful at all, but I can tell you that the government's definition of a small business, in my opinion, is a big business.
I would agree. Sophie, you have anything to add to that? I would definitely.
Yeah, based on what the SBA defines as small business is a mid-sized to sometimes huge business, right? I mean, if that's based on that definition, a lot of our businesses here are micro. Again, we're here to support all businesses regardless of your size and capital, and are willing to provide whatever support it is that get you to whatever it is that you're seeking.
Thank you. So to put a bow on it, and you can still ask questions in the chat, we'll still be here for a little while longer. However, I just want to put a bow on what we're saying. So today, I just want to make sure that we walk away fully understanding what it takes to get a contract with the city of Philadelphia or with any entity within the city, right? So in order to qualify for a contract with the city of Philadelphia, business must ...
Okay, so I'll say this. You do not have to be certified to do business with the city, right? Any business can do business with the city. What certification does, and this probably is politically incorrect, but what the certification does is make you sexy. It makes you look good because you will help a department meet their goal. And so even if you're not certified, if you are certified, the first thing that I would do is to go to Contracts Hub, CONTRACTSHUB.com, and you can sign up. You don't have to be certified business. You don't even have to be a registered business. And what will happen is you'll begin to get emails about all of the contracts, all of the RFPs, all of the bids that the city has available. And then you can begin to look to see what is in this RFP. What does it say that I have to be able to do? How many employees do I have to be able to have? How much bonding do I have to have in order to get this job? And you'll begin to be able to see what you need to do to get in the loop so that you can figure out how you can begin to bid on RFP, how you can begin to respond to RFPs and respond to bids.
Thank you. Thank you. And Sophie, do you want to add to that?
Now the queen of contract has spoken.
Most definitely. So I had another great question in the chat. Somebody said, I own 2 properties without a mortgage. I want one of them for senior living. I live next door. Any advice on how to proceed? The senior property is a gut. Any advice? My credit score is at 800 plus. How should I proceed?
Iola, you're muted.
My bad. They're trying to sell one of the properties. Is that what they're trying to do?
No, they want to turn the property into senior living. So they want to, I guess they need some funding in order to fix the property up to turn it into senior living. I hope I'm getting that right. I don't want to butcher their question, but that's what I'm taking from it.
I would contact the person, what's the person at Commerce, Sophie, that can help all, what's the name of the person that can help all businesses that call Commerce? You said it in the beginning.
The Office of Business Services?
The Office of Business Services, yes. Yeah. You can call the Office of Business Services and they can begin to figure out what you need to do, what licenses you need. If you need money, they can begin to help you figure out which way you want to go with money. So I would recommend that you contact the Office of Business Services.
Right. And just to add on to that, we also have the Department of Planning, because it sounds like if you're, gutting it out, you'll probably need, zoning issued and all that stuff. So our planning department can help you through that development project.
Thank you. Thank you. Another question I see is, can you discuss the procurement process and how contracts are awarded? Does the city usually select the lowest proposal? Basically, how do you win?
Right. So there are bids. There are bids that are awarded based on the lowest price. But there is a new way of looking at bids. And what they look at is what the company has to offer. So for example, my old boss used to use this as an example all the time. The city of Philadelphia's business cards were bought from a company that wasn't even in the city of Philadelphia, which was ridiculous, right? And so we look at what the company has to offer in addition to if they're in the city of Philadelphia. So there are some bids that are still awarded based on the price, but there are some bids that are awarded based on a number of things, including if you're in Philadelphia or not. An RFP, a request for proposal, is never based on the lowest price. It's based on, a number of things, but it's based on what's in your proposal. So it's not always the lowest price, only sometimes it's based on, but you will see, it will say it in the bid language, whether it's a bid that's being awarded based on the lowest price or whether it's being awarded based on something else.
That was a very great question, actually. Sophie, you want to add to that? All right, thanks. So I think we covered the gambit. I really, I'm walking away more informed. I just took a ton of notes myself because I've always wondered and wanted to kind of lift the lid off the city contract process myself. So I hope for a lot of the members everybody that attended today, that you walked away with something. I see some more information lastly in the chat about PIDC, and they want you guys to explain it. Can someone please, either one of you please explain PIDC?
So PIDC is our quasi-sister agency, stands for Philadelphia Industrial Development Corporation. They are our partners in any development project. We usually refer them to low interest loans, bigger development projects in the city. Ann Nevins is she an executive or whatever?
She's the president.
The president of, and she's there. And again, PIDC does a great job of looking at every program through the equity lens. Usually we'll talk to any businesses interested in, making that connection to PIDC, or you could reach out to them directly once you look at their website and are interested in any of their programs. They host a lot of small business building activities and community engagement with the the business community on education and training and awareness on any grant opportunities that are available. Does that help?
Thank you. Yes. Thank you for that, Sophie. We have another question in the chat. It says, after I register with sam.gov, I guess that's the US, the national site, sam.gov, what's my next step?
You want to start looking at contracts and bids and things that come to you. You want to start looking at them, reading them, reviewing them to see if your company is ready to respond. That's what I would say. I want to say too, you don't want to respond to everything. Not every company is ready to do business with the government. And I know that you guys don't want to hear that, but not every company is ready. Some of you have to work your way up. And some of you, will be more successful selling to the general public. You're a better B2C business to consumer than business to business. So you've got to really look at your business to see where you're positioned now, where you'd like to be positioned. And then if you can't figure out a path to get from where you are to where you want to be, go to one of the agencies in the city. There are multiple agencies that help you with small business that will help you figure out where you are now, where you want to be, and how to get from where you are to where you want to be.
Thank you. Does that answer? I hope that answers that question for everybody. And again, that just puts the, does anyone know who I can? I'm sorry, I'm looking at the chat again. It's
I can
lighting
tell
up.
you,
It's lighting up on me every time. I'm trying to catch up.
Kimberly, the disadvantages of working with the city is that it takes you a while to get paid.
Mhm.
And I'm going to leave it at that. So if you need consistent cash flow, the city of Philadelphia should not be your only customer, because you will be in trouble waiting for them to pay you. However, if the city of Philadelphia is one of your customers,
Mhm.
and you've got varying cash flow coming through your business, and that's another thing.
Multiple sources of cash, definitely important. Does anybody know who I can contact about starting a training program for healthcare support, CNA/MA? I contacted Commerce, but they didn't know.
That sounds more like an educational program, or any training type of training has to be certified through the PA Department of Education. So I think that's the best place to start. I know through talking to one of my fashion businesses who have that education and training model, you have to get, some type of clearance or cert through the education department to have those type of trainings, because I think you have to be, certified, or, at least have the credentials to, provide somebody with a degree of training. So does that help? That may be your best bet.
Mhm. Thank you, Sophie. Does anybody else have any other questions for our panelists, or for the good of the group, or any information that's for the good of the group? Again, we can light up the chat, share any resources or information that you do have, because it's to everybody's benefit that's attending with us today. But again, I thought this was an awesome, very informative presentation that we done tonight. I took a ton of notes myself, and I plan to share a lot of this information with other entrepreneurs that I know in the city of Philadelphia. I hope that we've unveiled and lifted the lid off of the city, so everybody can get a peek inside to see how it operates and know what it takes to actually qualify for a contract or with the city of Philadelphia. So again, thank you guys very much, everybody for coming out, and both of our panelists. You guys did a phenomenal job. And I would give you a round of applause if we are all in person, but I'm just going to use my reactions to give you guys both, your due flowers. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And thank you, Ray. Thank you for moderating a powerful discussion with our two amazing panelists. Iola, Sophie, thank you so much for being here tonight. We appreciate you, and thank you for just offering so much information. I too learned a lot. And we hope that everyone that joined us tonight, we hope that you all were able to take something from tonight and really use it. The goal of our time together is really provide relevant and information that you can apply, something applicable, something real. And I hope that that's what this was tonight. We appreciate you all for being here. Everyone who registered for tonight's event, you will get a copy of tonight, a recording of tonight. It will show up in your email. I also want to say, please follow us on social media. Again, it was live streamed on Facebook. It will be on our Facebook page. That's Black Male Engagement at PHL. I'm going to thank you all for being here. Please use this as an opportunity to follow up. Follow us on social media. We'll be doing some follow-ups with folks throughout the year to see, just getting more information and making sure that we're all equipped to move forward in strategizing to create generational wealth in our communities. I want to thank Iola, Sophie, once again. Thank you all both. You guys were incredible. And please just know that everything that was asked tonight, there's no silly question. If you need to ask it again, please feel free to email us, reach out to us. If you guys don't mind, just leave your contacts in the chat. That'd be great. Folks want to reach out to you and may have additional questions later. We want to make this information always accessible. And we know how sometimes it can be very difficult at times to really connect, especially now that we're so virtual. But we want to make it to where we can close those gaps, really make it easier for us to contact and stay in contact with one another. So thank you once again for being here. We appreciate you all. Join us next week, Thursday night, same time, 6 p.m. We will be discussing not only, now we've talked about telling our vision to partner, but now we're going to be talking about strategies to make sure our businesses last. The last few years were unprecedented. No one saw what we've just gone through. I mean, it took us all by surprise. And yet still there are businesses who are thriving, who have pivoted, who have figured out ways to endure these difficult times. And then, as it was mentioned before, a lot of our businesses didn't make it. But we want to say, hey, we can rebuild. Let's find a way that we can rebuild or find ways that we can sustain our businesses. So join us next Thursday night at 6 p.m. as we talk about Built to Last, business strategies to endure challenging times. I know it's going to be another amazing discussion, so you don't want to miss it. Invite a friend, tell them to come through, tell them to hit up the chat, come and get information, network, build, and let's continue to go forward as we build generational wealth in our community. Well, thank you all so much for this evening. Have a wonderful rest of the night. Y'all take care, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.